If you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. The more you vocalize and give importance to things that aren't really a big deal, the more you're gonna mentally program yourself to believe these limitations. And sometimes the fact that we're starting from level 0 can actually be an advantage because we don't have any restrictions. A lot of people, artists, businesses are restricted by having to please other people and consider other people's opinions or have to abide by certain rules or things like that. And so the fact that you're starting from a blank slate, it's such a blessing because you can make it whatever you want and you can carefully craft something that represents you in the best way possible and not. And so sometimes having a blank slate is the biggest advantage. I always knew I wanted to pursue music, but it took me over 10 years to actually make the decision to take it seriously. And that cost me literally all of my youth trying to make other things happen because I thought I had to have perfect conditions. I was trying to grow an audience before I even started releasing music. If I had just started taking it seriously from the beginning, I wouldn't have tried to do all these weird side quests, and I probably would have been an amazing producer and musician by now. But, of course, every time you try to take a shortcut, it actually ends up being the long way, and that is with anything. I've learned that you just have to start. Imagine something you've been thinking about doing, like even a fitness goal or just a habit change. If you would have started 2 years ago, imagine where you'd be by now. And I would always tell myself that with fitness. If you think about that perspective, it kind of helps to every single day counts. And before we know it, it goes by so fast and we look back and it's like, oh, I could have been so much further ahead. I always told myself like, oh, well, once I get my teeth fixed, I can really go hard on the YouTube videos and take more pictures and make more content. And that's just such a messed up perspective. Like, why can't I have the confidence? And I did end up getting my teeth fixed and I was still feeling the exact same. Nothing actually changed other than a little boost of confidence, but I still had the same skill set. Also, I took so long to actually pursue music because I always thought I sucked at singing. I would be like, well, when I have more money, I can pay for vocal lessons or writing lessons, or I can pay for better producers, more skilled people to teach me. But I got so tired of waiting that I just started kind of figuring it out, and I realized you don't even have to be a good singer to pursue music or to sing because there's so many ways to mix and record your vocals to make them sound good, or if I just keep trying to get it right. So it's all about the little bits of effort that you put into it. And also I'm realizing I just can go on YouTube and learn to produce myself. And so that's what I did. And it's been a long journey, but if I would have never started small, then I would have never realized. I would have still been waiting probably because I still don't have enough resources to fund it the way that I want to, but I'm happy that I'm seeing progress and I'm building momentum, and it's just feels like I completely removed any limits that I thought I had. They were 1000% imaginary. Why let a lack of confidence stop us? If you're gonna do it, might as well do it genuinely scared and just push through it. And the more you get comfortable and trusting the muscle memory and put the reps in, then it'll just be a lot easier to actually build the confidence. It would be so nice to have a big breakthrough or big epiphany or when to know when the right time is, but it's never gonna come. It's also so much harder to start something than to maintain it and keep going once you get used to it. But when you're starting something new and everything is foreign to you and you're doing things out of your comfort zone, it's gonna be scary, it's gonna be hard. But once you're in the rhythm of things, once it's a part of your daily routine, then it's like second nature. And also, your baseline for what you can tolerate is gonna go higher. So if you even with I keep using working out as an example because it's a good way of like using physical in my opinion, physical pain to build the endurance. But with music, it's the same way, or with any form of art. If you start implementing it for just 5 to 10 minutes a day, like before bed, I started songwriting in my notes app, just whatever, a few lines a day. Um, I don't even make the effort to like journal anymore. I just kind of do what's more accessible to me. And I always keep my laptop open around the house, or I keep my iPad in my purse. So I carry it around with me all day. Even some days I don't ever go on it, but I know it's there. And if I need to write something down, it just makes it more accessible for me to put my little 5-10 minutes in a day and to incorporate it more in my daily life, because it's all about removing the friction. And it starts becoming less of a big deal. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal to like, okay, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna songwrite, and I have to have a candle lit. I have to have my coffee. Even though there is a beauty in having a ritual to create a perfect scenario for yourself, sometimes it's good to just kind of get it out, to just whatever you're feeling, write it down in your notes app, text it to yourself, draw a picture, carry around a notebook. Little by little, you'd be surprised at how quickly the human body and the human brain adapt to new habits and routines that we're bringing in. How come when we start a new job and we have a new schedule and we have to like wear a certain thing, wake up at a certain time, we're just like, yeah, let's go do it. And yeah, it's your means of survival, but why can't we put that same priority on our creativity and our form of art or our business that we're building? Why can't we do that for ourselves? Because we do it so easily for other people. And eventually your baseline for discomfort starts going up, so you're able to tolerate more new little habits that you're throwing in. At first, it was really hard for me to sit through a few hours of a music session, especially a mixing session when everything sounds the same. But after a couple weeks of doing it, I was doing 10-hour music sessions, and I would get tired, but your brain just adapts to what you're giving it. So the willpower is what has to be there, how bad you actually want it, before what the thing that you're actually doing. So it's all about you creating that scenario for yourself, not just reacting to your environment, because that's a really easy way to get stuck in a loop. You have to actively carve out the time, the 5-10 minutes a day that eventually can turn into 30 minutes. Think about how long you're scrolling in bed before you go to sleep, or in my case, I lollygag a lot throughout the day, so it's like this can be condensed and used for something that's going to push me forward and build momentum. Because once you're going and the momentum is built, it's so much easier to keep it going. And it's a snowball effect. It's gonna get way bigger the more that you do it. Another thing I notice about myself is I start to complain sometimes a lot whenever I'm comfortable, and then it gets so comforting to just like release that complaint, because it feels like a form of venting and voicing my discomfort with a certain thing or situation. But a lot of times it just makes me focus on it more and give it more attention and more energy. Like something so small that I shouldn't even be complaining about or giving that much energy to it, and little things like that add up. And then I start to notice, how many times am I doing this like in an hour? And it just becomes a habit. Just like any emotion, it's easy to get comfortable to fall back on like complaining about everything. But if you can kind of just become self-aware of what's coming out of your mouth and not just letting it automatically flow, because it's going to flow to whatever default you have it set as. So just becoming aware of what's coming out of your mouth and trying to control it will just do so many wonders in removing those blockages that you have set for yourself. And then if you're not complaining about things, then you realize that you don't have to have perfect conditions to do things anymore. Like, some of the things that we're like using as excuses aren't even things that matter as much. And there's a quote, I don't know who said it, that says, someone took your situation and won with it. And I love that quote because every time I feel like whining and complaining, I'm like, damn, someone was in my shoes and didn't care about these limits that I'm like trying to. Sometimes we're too comfortable, and there's things that are like, oh, maybe that's not as uncomfortable as. I think the worst fear that people have is being embarrassed in public, or just failing in front of people, or just things not turning out as they thought they would. And to that, it's always comforted me knowing that there's so much art out here that is subjectively terrible. And so that puts a lot less pressure on what anyone is releasing. But there's no limits. There's no judgment. There is judgment, but it just like what's really good to someone can be really bad to the next person. And that should be really comforting to you and should just tell you like you are not going to release anything bad, because if you like it, if it sits right with you, if it aligns with you, then you should roll with it and you should be proud of it and stand on it and take care of it and cherish it, whatever you're doing. There's so many things out there that just suck, that are so terrible, and a lot of people love them. So honestly, with art, anything really goes. Anything that you care about, that winnability that you put importance into, is going to flourish. And if you're scared of no one supporting it at first, that shouldn't even be your focus. It should be for you. And the right audience will find it eventually, even if it takes long as fuck. It's taken long as fuck for me as well, so it's okay. And then I also like to think about, where would I be 5 years from now if I didn't start today, if I wasn't doing something to work towards this goal today. 5 years from now, I would probably still be a waitress at the lounge and just thinking about my big break still. And that's really scary, even though I'm willing to do it as long as it takes. But because I don't want it to take 5 years, I am actively making sure I am putting time into it every single day, even if it's just thinking about some cover art or thinking about a release or just making sure that the needle is moving. And that's why time management is so important. And that's why being efficient with what you're doing is important. But that's for another video, because the little things that you do for it every day do add up. It's like the little drops in the ocean, and you'll look back and be like, wow, that's pretty fucking cool. So remember, whatever you're pursuing, you don't need to be confident. You don't need to feel ready. You're never probably ever going to feel ready, because there's always going to be the next thing to work towards in it. And just finding the little joys of doing whatever. It's about the journey, whatever. I'm grateful that I'm starting from a blank slate, because I don't have to answer to anyone. I don't have to pay any employees right now. I don't have to think about meeting deadlines. I can just create, and all of that structure will come later. But that's just the good part of starting something. And even though I don't feel ready, and people say that they never do feel ready, I am grateful that I can start scared. As long as I'm starting and I'm moving towards it, it's fulfilling. Thank you for watching. Comment below what you're working on so we can all network in the comments. That would be pretty cool.